Yo, what's good YouTube? What's good gamers? It's your boy Lincoln Clay coming back at you with another full-blown video. Remember to hit that like button, help spread my content out to a wider audience. I would appreciate it. And make sure you hit the bell icon, and make sure you hit that bell icon to stay notified when I put out new content. I would appreciate that as well. If you are a new subscriber, welcome to the channel. I appreciate your support. And as promised, here is my GT Sport review. Now, I know this game came out back in October, and I rented it back in October and played it, and I guess initially I was not feeling it. Not to mention that I did not have my YouTube channel at the time. So maybe a month later, I came back and tried the game again, and the game started to grow on me a little bit. And I liked the game enough that I wanted it, but I did not want to spend $60 for it because of all the other upcoming Sony exclusives that are planned for 2018. So I waited until the game was on sale before I bought it. So I bought the game for $40, and I think the money was well spent. So again, you know, I am aware of this game coming out in October of 2017. So it's that's, you know, about 6 months. But my MLB The Show review was well received, so I decided to do another review. And you can be sure that when God of War releases later this month, that I'll do a review on that game as well. But that review will be done day one and not 6 months later. And so again, I had to take down some notes because there was just too much stuff to try to remember about this game. And when I'm trying to talk off the top of my head, it makes for a lot of hesitation, and it doesn't sound good. It doesn't, you know, sound professional. So I don't really like that. So I had to take down some notes so I wouldn't find myself hesitating all the time. So I think to start off with, I think this is the best racing game that I've played since Forza 2, which that was one of the best games I've ever played. And as this comes pretty close, if not, you know, better. So we'll start with the good. You know, I'll give you the good, the bad, and then give you an overall rating. So starting with the good, the graphics are excellent. The graphics are probably the best I've ever seen in a racing game. And yes, I dare say that the graphics are even better than Forza 7. Forza 7 does have a higher resolution. It does run at 2160p, and GT Sport runs at 1800p. But the game is definitely far more detailed, in my opinion, than Forza Motorsport 7. It has more content in terms of the environment and the fans, the audience. Just like with MLB The Show 18, the HDR makes the colors pop. And again, it separates the colors. It keeps the colors from looking washed out. Now, unfortunately, the HDR is inactive for this video, so you wouldn't be able to truly see what the HDR looks like based on this video. But believe me, it is great. And let's see here, and you know, and again, you know, the details are accurate. Is excellent. So another thing I like about this game is they have what you call a driver rating. Now, the driver rating, it increases when the driver performs well. All drivers start at E, and they work their way up to an A or even an S. And then they have what you call a sportsmanship rating. That increases for clean and safe driving. Reckless and dangerous behavior will lower your rating. Now, the driver rating and the sportsmanship rating, they go hand in hand. You can't raise one without the other. And your driving rating and your sportsmanship rating comes into play when you want to, I think, when you want to buy certain cars, when you go into a campaign and you want to race in certain leagues, your driver rating and your sportsmanship rating has to be at a certain level. Otherwise, when it comes to like the campaign, you'll be forced to race in beginner leagues and amateur leagues. You have official online daily races, sportsmanship and driver points are awarded along with in-game credits, for completing online daily races. You can compete in the FIA GT Nations Cup to represent countries or regions, which I haven't competed in that yet, but I will at some point. Something else that I like is you can compete in the FIA GT Manufacturer Series. With that, drivers must sign a seasonal contract to compete, in which you will be sponsored and provided with a car from the chosen manufacturer. And so a couple of the cars, like this race, for instance, that you're watching, that is a sponsored car through the manufacturer, because I signed a 1-year contract with Honda on this game. So this is one of the cars that was provided for me. So I do not own the car, but it was provided for me through Honda in the game, so I do like that. Within the races, one thing that I like is that you can control your fuel consumption between power and lean while you're on the go. So if you want more power, then you can apply the fuel that way. If you want to try to stretch it out for a couple of laps before you have to go into the pits, you can set the fuel consumption to lean, so it doesn't drink as much gas, but I'd imagine you won't have as much power. You can control the brake application, which you can apply more to the front or to the back, whichever works for you. You can adjust the traction control on the fly, so you can virtually shut the traction control off or turn it all the way on, or somewhere in between. And you can choose between a setting of 1 and 5. I have the traction control set at 3, so it's enough that the car doesn't get out of control when I step on the gas. But I gotta have some kind of traction control in there, because if I don't, the car, it'll spin out. So, but it's still, the tires still spin slightly, so I've still gotta, I can't just put my foot down. But I can feel the car slipping and can adjust, a little bit based on the way I've got the traction control set. Let's see here, GT Sport, the game awards you for competitive. I'm sorry, let me start that one over. The game awards you competitive cars for completing online races, challenges, milestones, without having to grind all day for it. So they do give you competitive cars as a reward for completing races, challenges, and milestones. The cars, I'm not going to say they're good enough to win, but you definitely won't come in last place with them. So the cars that you are awarded, you can probably make them faster by tuning the cars, buying aftermarket parts, which I haven't gotten that far yet. I'm still completing milestones, and once I get my collection of cars all together, then I'll decide which ones I want to tune, which ones I want to spend money on for parts. Probably the car that I plan to use the most. Now, the next thing that I find good about this, depending on how you look at it, is the ghosting. You've probably already seen it in this race. But if a car is about to go out of control, the car will start to ghost, and that way the car that's behind him can go right through him and won't get swallowed up into the crash. Therefore, it won't slow his track time down. So I do like that. Whereas games like Forza, when I played that game, when the race starts, it happens every time. There is a large pileup in the first turn because people just do not know how to get through there without causing a wreck. A lot of people are just not good drivers on that game, and so there's always a huge pileup on the first turn. So that forces me to take on a strategy of dropping back in the pack and waiting for everybody else to get into a wreck and drive through it. So with GT Sport, with the ghosting on the first turn, you can still be aggressive, because if someone's getting out of control, they'll turn into a ghost, like you're seeing right here. Like that car behind me turned into a ghost. He was in this case, he was driving slow, and it might have been a car that I was about to lap, but in any case, he turned into a ghost in front of me, and it allowed me to go past him and not have to go on the grass to get around him, and I didn't have to bump him or knock him out of the way to get past him. So I did like that, but don't be, but there's still a little bit of bumping going on. Another thing that I like is they have a penalty system. With this penalty system, cars are penalized for reckless driving, for rear-ending other cars, going off the track, smashing into walls, causing wrecks. And so, for instance, if you rear-end a car, you may be assessed a 5-second penalty. Now, the way you serve the penalty is you either slow down or come to a complete stop until the clock runs down to 0. Now, you don't have to serve the entire penalty right then and there. You can do it in pieces. Like when you approach a corner and you hit the brakes and slow down, some of that time will run off. But if you choose not to serve the penalty when your race is over, whatever your penalty is will be added to your finish time. So if you're serving a 5-second penalty and you didn't serve it, that 5 seconds will be added to your time at the end of the race. So I like that because it promotes clean and safe driving. With Forza, I played Forza right around the first time that I played this, and Forza is full of dirty drivers. People just will not accept that there are better drivers out there than them, and too many times I've tried to pass someone and I got wrecked. Someone knocked me off the road. Now, quickly, right here, the pits right there. I absolutely love that in the pits. You saw the crew. They were standing there with tires, with a fuel tank, with the impact gun. And when you pull into the pits, you can choose what kind of tire compound that you want, and you can choose how much fuel that you want to take in. And as you couldn't see it when the car was pitting, but in the game there was a meter at the bottom of the screen, and you can choose how much fuel you want to take on, whether it was a half a tank, 3/4, or a full tank. As the tank is filling up, it will show you how many laps you can go based on how much fuel you've taken. So in the case of that pit that I just did right there, at the time that I went into the pits, there was still about 6 laps to go in the race, and I took on about 3/4 of a tank of gas, and that was enough for 7 laps. I wanted to make sure I would be able to complete this race and not, have to coast across there. I really like that. And to pay attention to detail, you saw the crew standing around after the tires were changed, after the car was fueled. They lifted the sign and gave you the green light to leave the pit. That is a feature that I absolutely love. It may not seem like a big deal to some people, but I think it is huge compared to Forza 7, where The pit scene in Forza 7 is absolutely lazy from the developers. You pull into the pit, there's no one there. It just looks like an empty parking lot. No one is there, but you still hear wrenches. You still hear impact guns, but nothing's you don't see a pit crew. There's nothing happening to the car. Once all the wrenches and all that noise stops, then you take off. That, to me, that takes away from the experience, and to me, it does not add any value to the race. Whereas the pit here, not only is the cutscene nice, you still can choose what tires you want to complete the race. You can still choose how much fuel you want to take on. So I think that is huge versus the lazy cutscene that you see in Forza. But going back to the penalty system, so it's good that they got the penalty system in place, because it kind of stops people from racing dirty. But don't get me wrong, you know, when cars are running side by side, they can still bump each other, and you can still get knocked off the road. So the penalty system is nice, but you know, but you can still get knocked off the road depending on what it was. But if it was deliberate, you know, that person will be penalized. So in between sessions, when the screen is loading, you see some really nice 4K screenshots. Really nice cars in a really nice background, really nice setting. That is the one part of this game that's in native 4K, is the 4K screenshots. The pics are absolutely sharp. The colors are vibrant on there. It's just the 4K screenshots is a nice touch. Another thing that's good about this game is that new cars, new tracks are added to the game through updates free of charge. It does not appear to be any DLC packs to be purchased. No micro transactions that I've seen, and that is huge with me, because I pretty much despise microtransactions, especially ones that affect the outcome of a race or a game. So no microtransactions in this game, no paid DLC. So there's been a couple of updates where they've added maybe 20-25 cars and a few more tracks free of charge. That is big with me. So that's the good. Now let's go on to the bad. First, you must be connected to the internet, regardless of what mode. Whether it's an online race, whether you're just doing mini challenges or something, or whether you're competing in a league, whether you're doing a campaign, you must be connected to the internet. So that's something that I don't care for, because what happens if your internet gets knocked out for whatever reason, or you take your console somewhere where there isn't internet? So that doesn't really fly with me. Another bad thing about this game is the ghosting. Even though I said it was good, the ghosting has good and bad to it. Now, the bad part about the ghosting is if you're behind and you're trying to catch the leader, the ghosting will prevent the leader from, let me say it this way, with the ghosting, the person that you're trying to catch, traffic will not slow him down. If there's somebody that you're pursuing, he'll still be able to drive right through traffic. Because one thing about this game is, if you're about to lap someone and you're coming up on traffic that you're about to lap, they automatically turn into ghosts, so you can drive right through them and won't have to navigate around them. That's good for the leader, but that's bad for everyone else pursuing them, because now they can't rely on traffic to slow him down. you'll have to catch him yourself, or hope that he wipes out. So I don't have a problem with the ghosting, but some people might. The ghosting doesn't really bother me. I think it's a good thing because I like clean competitive races, because it's rewarding to go back and look at the replay after a good clean race, versus on Forza Motorsports it's just wrecks and wrecks and wrecks, because everybody races so dirty on that game, and there's no penalty system on Forza that punishes people for racing dirty. So you basically have two options in Forza: either race dirty or race so good that they cannot catch you. And if you're not using a competitive car, then you're not going to be able to pull away from the pack. People will catch up to you, and they will clip you back in and send you into a tailspin quick on Forza. So that's one of the things I like about this game, about the ghosting and about the penalty system. It promotes clean and safe racing. And I'd like to see a competitive race of two cars battling it out, having a clean battle for position, versus some NASCAR Dukes of Hazzard looking shit where everybody's getting wrecked on Forza. Another thing that people may not care for is that the online races. I believe this game runs on a dedicated server. So the online races, they run like every 20 minutes. So depending on when you register for a game, you may find yourself waiting for a race. You can qualify while you're waiting for the race, which is a good idea to qualify for the race, because that's going to determine your position on the starting grid. If you choose not to qualify for a race, you will start at the back of the pack. So if you're competing in a race and you're dead serious about trying to win the race, I would recommend that you qualify for the race so you can get the best possible position on the starting grid. Another thing now I kind of have a problem with this, is that the penalty system needs improvement. I've run a few races and I've been assessed penalties for collisions that weren't my fault. There was races where I was right behind someone and they deliberately slammed on the brakes and caused me to rear end them, and I was hit with a penalty. There was other times where I was bumped side by side and I got knocked off the track, and I was hit with a penalty for going off the track. So that's something that they need to improve, and not penalize you for things that weren't your fault, things that were incidental contact, accidents that weren't intentional. That kind of stuff needs to be improved. But all in all, I still like the penalty system. It needs to be there. And lastly, another bad point about this game is the VR mode. The VR mode is not good. There's a serious downgrade in the graphics. It's kind of blurry in the back, and the biggest downfall of the VR mode with me is that you are racing one-on-one against the computer. Whereas a game like Drive Club, you can race, you can do campaign races, or you can do online races where up to 8 people can race, and that is really fun and really competitive. So GT Sport, if you are buying this game solely for the VR mode, you might be disappointed. It is a great game, but I would not recommend the VR part of this game. So if you want, I'd say right now Drive Club VR is probably the best racing game on VR. So that would be my recommendation if you're looking for a VR racing game. So I think that about does it for my review of this game. And so I think I will give this game a final score of 8.9. The graphics on this game is incredible. The HDR, the attention to detail, the pitting, with the pit crew aspect of it, being able to decide how much fuel you want, what kind of tires you want put on the car. That plays into the strategy of the race. Not only is the cutscene of it, not only do I like that attention to detail, but choosing how much fuel you want and what kind of tires you want to go with, that plays a big part in how you're going to finish the race out. Not only that, you can slice a couple of seconds off the pit time by electing not to take a full tank of gas. Because when you pull into the pits, you are losing precious seconds. So that is huge. That is huge. So again, I'll give this game. I'm going to give this game an 8.9. This game and MLB The Show has taken up a lot of my time when I'm on my PlayStation. And again, I'll say this is probably the best racing game that I've played since Forza 2. And as far as GT goes, the GT franchises goes, this might be the best one ever. So I would definitely recommend this game. If you again, this is probably another one of those games where if you're patient or if you look around enough, you can probably catch this game on sale. I've seen this game on sale a couple of times at the PlayStation Store. It is PS4 Pro enhanced, so it looks that much better on the PS4 Pro. And I think that's going to wrap up my my review of this game. So again, I highly recommend this game. I wish I would have done this review when it came out, but I didn't have my YouTube channel up and running at the time. And not only that, I had to play the game a second or a third time before I realized what a good game it was. So if you're into racing and you want a real racing simulator and not some arcade bullshit, this is a great game. This is the game for you. So with that being said, I think that's going to wrap up my interview. Thanks a lot for watching this video. I appreciate it. Make sure you hit the like button. And as far as reviews goes, I'll see you when God of War comes out. This is your boy Lincoln Clay. Thanks for watching. You guys have a good day. I will holler at you later. I am out.